Good morning and welcome to another pre-market review session with the Market Trader. My name's Ray, the Market Trader, and before we get started, we need to go through our obligatory risk disclosure. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Just want to remind everyone that the content that's being published and distributed by the Market Trader is to be used as general information only. The information provided by the company contained herein is not intended as investment advice and offered to buy, sell, recommend, endorse, sponsor any security, company, or fund. Use of this information is to be used at your own risk, and the company, its partners, representatives, agents, employees, and contractors assume no responsibility or liability for any use or misuse of such information. We all understand that future trading does carry a fair amount of risk and is not for every investor. An investor could potentially lose all or more of their investment capital. Only risk capital money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security or lifestyle should be used for trading, and only those individuals with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Again, nothing contained herein is a solicitation or an offer to buy, sell futures, options, or Forex. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so now that we've gotten through the risk disclosure, we're going to turn our attention to a review of the news. Okay, so here we are. Here we go. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and open news. So we just had or just reported on new housing. Okay, new housing has been reported. New building permits have been reported, and they came in. Looks like appears to have come in better than expected. Okay, we have some more bank earnings reports coming in. We have Charles Schwab, American Express, 3M, all coming in this morning to report earnings. We have some Michigan kind of inflationary sentiment reports coming in at 10 a.m. today, and then we have some events here where that could by our president. Okay, that always has the possibilities of impacting the markets here at 1:30 and 2:30. Okay, so I would say a fair amount of news. Okay, in the markets. So we'll let's now move to our news portal, not news portal, our platform. Okay, and we'll take a look and see what the markets have to say. All right. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll open up the platform. The screen is black. Okay, so let's see how that changes here when I move to the charts. Okay. All right. Hopefully you can see now. Okay, excellent, Anthewell. All right. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the market that we normally start with, and that is the gold market. Okay, perfect, Anthewell. Thank you for confirming. All right, so we're going to go ahead and open up the gold market here. We're going to go with the regular gold continuous contract. We're going to go ahead and start off with the daily chart here, and again get kind of a sense of what the market is trying to accomplish. And as you can see here, of late, okay, we've begun to maybe show some signs of more. I would say more in the way of rangy kind of price action. Okay, we've had equal participation on both sides of the market. Right, we rally, we find sellers. We rally, we find sellers. Okay, now right now at the moment we seem to have found some buyers. Okay. We seem to have found some buyers in this market, but the overall structure remains a structure of range, a structure of consolidation, right? We obviously, you can see here that we have a very definitive area of demand here around 3250, maybe as high as 3270. Okay, that's an area of support, I would say. Okay, so I'll go ahead and draw in a line to indicate that. Okay, so this area here around 3270, okay, does appear to be a supportive area. right? Notice that once we left this area here, right? We left this area here. We have not been able to close back inside it, right? So that I'm just going to mark as an area of support. And then above us, well, we've been down this road before, but this 3,500 level does again appear to be another area of some resistance. Okay. Right. So we're going to go ahead and mark that level above us, and we'll mark that level is resistant. Okay. And then, we have some areas here that we seem to have a little bit of trouble right now getting above 33.25. Okay. So we've been at this level now 3 times, right? We've come to this level once, twice, a third time, and each time has been rejected. But what's interesting is that with each attempt, we've had less in the way of reversal. Okay, so indicating that that maybe we are getting more buyers than sellers at the moment of this market. Okay, so this area here around 33 looks like, yeah, 30 is that it's no 33.83. Sorry, 33.83 does appear to be an area that we want to keep an eye on, right? So it's around this 3,400 level. Okay. This is an area we want to keep an eye on, because if we do manage to get above it, I think we make another attempt at the highs. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the 4-hour chart. Okay, looking at the 4-hour chart, we'll turn off our initial balance here for a moment. Okay, and again, you can see that we're starting to create maybe a little bit of structure here to the upside, right? So we're starting to make higher highs, right? Higher highs, higher lows, higher high, higher low. Okay, so and we've had a series, right? A relative over since I would say there's maybe a fair amount of buyers, okay, in the overnight session in this market. Okay, you can see that we've created some structure here to the upside. We're starting to break some structure above this. We were breaking some structure here. I would say the next logical area here is this 33.73 level, and then we've already marked this 33.85 level from our prior chart. Okay, higher time frame chart. So so while we are in some sort of larger consolidation range, I am starting to see some evidence here, at least as we approach, or as we continue in today's session, of some bullish price action. Okay, we do have some areas above us here that could cause price to stall, but we are, it appears, beginning to see some signs here of some bullish behavior. Okay, all right. So here we are, looking at the 30-minute chart. You can see, as I mentioned, the beginnings of some bullish behavior here, right? So we have our 9 EMA, right? We have our 9 EMA that is tracking price here, right? You can see that price is hugging a 9 EMA to the upside. We have our daily VWAP also, prices above that, and we are above settlement. So we're, I would say, pretty extended to the upside, okay, to the moment. A lot of relatively a number of bulls in this market, okay? I'm going to go ahead and draw in my anchored VWAP here, okay? Anchored VWAP for the start of London, right about there. And you can see also our anchored VWAP showing some signs. Now, this candle right here is, I guess we're kind of half hour into the session here, or we're starting to maybe see a little bit of signs of maybe some sellers stepping into this market. I'm going to go ahead and open up my initial balance here. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and make sure that this is for the US session. So we'll change this to the regular session. Okay. And there's our initial balance range. We are developing a bearish engulfing candle. And I'm kind of looking to the left and seeing, why are sellers stepping in this area? Well, you can see, right? This is an area where we've seen sellers here in the past. Okay. So while we have been in some sort of bullish structure, we have at least arrived at an area where we potentially could see some sellers. Okay. Now the question becomes, given this kind of bullish structure, where could they take price? Well, I would say that it would not be unreasonable, right? It would not be unreasonable for them to take price back to VWAP and still be in relatively bullish structure. Okay. So while I would say on the short term, while I understand that we have a fair number of buyers in this market, I also understand that are coming into an area here where we could see some sellers and could cause price that maybe come back down to one of these areas down below. Okay, before we continue our move to the upside. So I would say that while I am bullish, I would say maybe in the short term on this market, I could see maybe a little bit of a pullback. So if I'm a buyer of this market, I'm going to be waiting for better pricing. Okay, I'm not sure I'm a fan of the highs here, right? Because I do see that we are coming into some logical areas of resistance. Okay, so that's kind of what I have for you for the gold market, right? So I think maybe in the sort of the immediate time frame, I'm going to be patient. I'm going to be waiting for price to determine which direction they want to take this market. And I have a feeling that maybe that initial move is going to be lower before we get higher. Okay, just because of the area that we're in as far as structure here. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up. I was going to open up our ASR here. I can locate it. ASR. There it is. Looks like it's already open. Is that right? Okay. Let's make sure that that reads not a custom session, but the New York session. Okay. Actually, at least let's see if we can change that to London. Okay, there it is. All right. So it looks like we've already reached, okay, that's another kind of data point that I want to make here, right? Looks like we've already reached the upper end, okay, of ASR here, which is a statistical range. So this could potentially cause price to maybe slow down here a little bit, okay? So again, kind of further evidence that we could potentially see a little bit of a retracement before we continue higher, okay? All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at the crude oil market. All right, again, we'll start off with the daily chart here, okay, and get a sense for what the market is trying to accomplish here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and open up the daily chart. And again, we are in some sort of consolidation range. I'll go ahead and remove some of these drawings here. Okay, we're not making much progress in either direction at this point, right? We seem to be stuck in this 69 to 64.40 range, okay, in this market. And I would say of late, 65.50. So we've been in this 65.50 high of 69, right? So not really an overwhelming range to trade, to be honest. It makes it very difficult unless we're very focused on the edges of the markets here. Okay, so market, I'm not sure what to make of this. Again, I do see that we still seem to be in the control of these participants, the bearish participants. This does not feel like an impulsive move to the upside. This feels more like a little bit of a retracement, a little bit of a consolidation before it decides to make its next move. Right, right now, again, I would say that the move could very well be to the downside. Okay, moving on to the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart again, not really seeing anything that would indicate that there's any strong direction here. I suspect that this little gap that we're seeing here was a result of some sort of rollover in contracts in the crude oil. Okay, some sort of rollover, and now we've kind of filled that gap, and we're back to basically where we closed yesterday's session. Okay, so the question now becomes: are we going to be able to get above this? If we are, then maybe we have a leg higher, maybe back to some of these highs here. If we are unable to get above settlement, then I would say that we have a reasonable chance of continuing price lower. All right. So this is kind of my line in the sand, right? This settlement price. Okay. Moving on to the 30-minute chart. We'll take a look at the 30-minute chart here. See, did not do okay. All right. So you're seeing we're getting some reaction away from the ASR high here. We're going to go ahead and open up fixed range volume profile. I don't think I looked at fixed range volume profile here with gold. Okay, but we will do that for London for crude oil. Okay, so let's go ahead and locate the start of the session for crude oil, and we'll go ahead and move that to the close. And you can see that price, okay, is kind of hovering at the edge of value here, actually breaking below it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and let's see, turn on our initial balance because the market has indeed opened. Okay, and then we'll close this away. Okay, so you can see here, you can see here that price opened, I think opened just inside value. Okay, with this, I'm using this candle here. Just opened inside value, and now is making an attempt to move lower. Okay, we are seeing that price is hovering around our 9 EMA and our daily VWAP. Okay, but it's obviously being challenged here, right? We have a little bit in the way of overlapping price in both directions, right? Overlapping our 9 EMA, overlapping our daily VWAP. Okay, we're going to go ahead now and add the anchor VWAP to this discussion. We're going to see what London has to say about all of this, and London appears to be what we're below London, right? So fair amount, I would say, a fair amount of folks, I would say, that are somewhat bullish in this market. All right. We are seeing some signs of reversal. We are reversing away from settlement and away from this average session range. Okay. So the question becomes is, are we going to sustain and remain? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and draw my little channel here, right? Are we going to remain in this channel to the upside? Okay. If so, then we may have found ourselves a location where we could participate maybe in a move to the upside in this market. Okay. As long as we remain in this channel, maybe it provides us maybe in a location currently of maybe a move back to the upside. Okay. If we start to get a breaks of this channel break below the initial balance that's been established, then I would say that it's not out of the question, all right, that we come back and revisit 66.11, okay, down here below. Okay. So right now, I would say headed into the session, I would say that given these set of candles, given where the candles proximity is to the lower end of value, as well as the lower end of the initial balance, I would say that I'm coming in a little bit bearish, I would say, in this market, and I'm looking for, say, opportunities maybe to participate to the downside. I am going to wait for price to leave the initial balance range before I make any sort of decision as to the direction, okay, or participation, I should say, of this market. All right. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead now and open up our equity markets here. Okay, so we're taking a look at the equities. We're going to go ahead and open up the daily chart here, and we're going to take a look here and see what the market is trying to accomplish here. And you can see that over the span of the last 1, 2, 3, 4, and now into the 5th day, right? We've been moving higher in this market, right? We are in structure that indicates that the market, I would say, might even have picked up some momentum, right? We were kind of tiring here up at the highs, and now we've seemed to have been reinvigorated, right, in this market. More participants looks like have kind of come into this. Okay, so daily is looking quite bullish. Moving into the 4-hour chart here. Looking at the 4-hour chart again, you can see. Let's go ahead and turn off the initial balance range here for a moment. Okay, looking at the initial balance range, you can see that over the last set of candles here, we've been in range. Okay. Yeah, during yesterday's session, we were quite bullish. I would say that in the overnight really didn't offer anything in the way of direction. They've been kind of range, and during the overnight session into Asia, into London, right, really didn't take the price in any sort of major direction. Now we are above some of these indicators that we care about. The 9 EMA, this anchored VWAP from the past here. I might actually move to this area right here if I can control it. Seems like a more logical area to have the VWAP kind of at a pivot. So yeah, so we are seeing indications that maybe that we are going to continue to see maybe some higher prices in this market. Okay, let's take a look at the 30-minute chart. Looking at the 30-minute chart, again, you see that we're kind of reacting away from reacting away from settlement price here, right? Okay, came back down, reacted away from it. We kind of consolidated around it, and now we're developing some structure that is causing price to get above not only our 9 EMA, but also above our daily VWAP. Okay, and if I draw in some structure here, if I draw in my little parallel lines here, you can see that we have a candle on the 30-minute side that is indicated that maybe we are looking to head higher in this market. Okay. I'm going to go ahead now and open up our fixed range volume profile. I'm going to go ahead and take a look and see where price is in relation to yesterday's price action. Okay, so this is the start of the session into the close of the session here. Okay, so you can see here that price is hovering at the high end of value. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and extend this line here to the right. We're still a little bit of ways away from this market opening, but you can see that price is hovering right at the edge of value here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mark that in as blue. Okay, indicating that this is coming from my value range. We're at the upper end of the value area high here. Okay, so assuming that we can indeed close above this, that could, basically is an indication that participants are willing to pay a premium to be a part of this market, right? We are hovering at the high end of value, right? Price is not able to get below settlement and maybe some of these areas below us. Okay, we have point of control is here as well. Okay, so yeah, we are getting some indications of maybe price continuing higher from this location. We're still about 15 minutes away from the initial balance range, but I would say that heading into the session, it does appear that we might be more on the bullish side. I do see that maybe we are developing a little bit of a head and shoulder pattern, but doesn't seem like that has come to fruition, right? So this being the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder, the expectation is that should have caused maybe a move down, right, down to somewhere in this level. But on the contrary, it looks like we have actually found some buyers here. Okay. So in any case, looks like, again, we are looking to move higher. What I'm going to be looking for, again, is the initial balance range to establish. I'm going to be looking for evidence, price evidence, to indicate to me that that the participants have the participants necessary to drive price higher. And that would mean that we get a close above value. That would be another indication. And then we maybe start to slope this VWAP as well as this 9 EMA to the upside. And that would also kind of serve as support here. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and open up my anchor VWAP here. Just one last piece of evidence, and you can see that we're above London's anchored VWAP as well. Okay, so we are seeing some signs of some bullish behavior. I would say that this area here around value area high is going to be important. If we are unable, to close above, then I would say that this is a reasonable chance that we could see price reverse and maybe cover a span of the value range. Okay, so this is an important area. I would say long above, right? Long above, short below value area high. It's kind of my view. All right, let's take a look at the ES and the last couple of markets here before we summarize our positions here as we approach the open of the session. Again, we're going to start with a daily chart. Again, similar to the NASDAQ, we're seeing some evidence and some strong signs that the market wants to continue higher here. Okay, if I do a little bit of Fibonacci analysis here and I take a look at this most recent swing and I take the pullback, well, you can see some targets above us that we could reach, right? We have the 6,400 level, which seems to be well within reach. And then the 100% extension of that swing would take us up to about 6640. Okay, so that's kind of, again, just you want to think of this as kind of like a measured move. If you kind of measure the distance, between here and retrace it back, those are a couple of forecasts that we were able to reach. Okay, all right, let's go ahead now and move into the 4-hour chart. Take a look at the 4-hour chart. We can see that we continue to be in some sort of bullish structure here. We're starting to break some structure here to the upside. Okay, we're above VWAP, above our EMA. We've just broken some price structure here to the upside. Okay, indicating again that participants have maybe taken some initiative, made some sort of initiative move to drive price higher in this market. Okay. Let's go ahead now and take a look at the 30-minute chart. We'll open up the fixed range volume profile here and get a sense for where price is in relation to yesterday's price action. Okay, we're going to go ahead and let's see. We're going to locate the 630 candle here. Let's remove that. That's not what I wanted. Okay, so let's try this again. Okay, we're going to go ahead and locate the start of Thursday, which is here, and then drag that across to the close. Okay, and you can see that the ES is in a similar location, actually managed to close above, okay, the value range. Okay, so interesting that ES managed to get above while NASDAQ remained technically below. Okay, we are seeing a little bit of a reversal candle here as we approach the open of the New York session. There is some area here around 63.56, right? We do see that we have some evidence of rejection of higher pricing, right? Okay, so a little bit of a supply area there. I'm going to go ahead and draw in. Okay, I'm going to mark that in as kind of red. I mean, indicating that this could be a zone where we could find some sellers. We did get another attempt here, okay, of price trying to maybe make some new highs. That has initially been rejected. So kind of interesting times here as we approach the open here. Will price be able to remain above value area high? Because if we do begin to break some structure here to the downside, I don't see that it would be out of the realm of possibilities here for price to maybe rotate all the way through value. Okay, if we are unable to manage to hold above value area high and begin to break some structure to the downside. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm looking at, because it looks like we did make an attempt here to go higher, and that has been initially received by some sellers. Okay, all right. So I would say that the fact that we are above value, I'm gonna kind of err on the side of the bulls here. If we are unable, to hold above value and remain below this say VWAP and 9 EMA, then I would say that my opinion will quickly change to bearish. Okay, if I can maybe if this completes in a 3-bar reversal pattern. Right, we close in with this kind of reversal hammer candle, followed by a bearish engulfing in the opposite direction. Then I could easily change my opinion, because most likely we're going to end up closing inside the value range, and that could open up the door for maybe a move to the downside. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the Dow before we make one final pass across all the markets. Okay, looking at the Dow again, looking just like we do with all the markets here. We're looking at all markets. Okay, now, unlike some of these other markets, the Dow has not made or as much progress higher as some of these other markets. Although over the last 3 days, we have been in a pretty strong bullish price action. Okay, so if I do this, you can see that we are above. And again, if I maybe even capture more of this, you can see that we're starting to make some strides here, starting to make some progress in getting above some of this structure for maybe, again, another continuation move. Again, if I do my little Fibonacci tool analysis on this, if I go ahead and take this most recent swing, take it to the high of the swing and bring it back down, that gives you some upside targets. We have 46,000, and then we have the 47,200. These are a couple of upside targets for this current swing that we're seeing in the Dow. All right. Let's go ahead now and move on to the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart, again, you can see we're kind of zooming in on these daily candles. You can see that we have a fair number of folks that remain kind of bullish in this market from Tuesday's close, right? We've remained in a pretty solid bullish structure here to the upside. So again, as long as we remain in bullish structure, as long as we remain in some sort of structure here to the upside, then we have to assume that we'll continue in that direction. Okay, moving on to the 30-minute chart. Looking at the 30-minute chart, okay, you can see that we are seeing a little bit of price action on the lower time frame. That would indicate that maybe we are in for maybe a little bit of a pullback in the market. Okay, that seems to be a little bit counter to what we've been saying about this market in general, but we are seeing some evidence of that. While price remains above settlement and now starting to work its way below our VWAP and our 9 EMA, we're starting to see some evidence, at least on this time frame, that could lead to maybe a move back. All right, lower. Okay, right, on this time frame, right, we could easily see something along these lines, assuming that we can break some structure, right, assuming that we can break some structure here below. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open up our fixed range volume profile, get a sense for where price is in relation to yesterday's price action, and you can see that price is well above. Okay, so this is probably even a bit stronger than some of the other markets that we've been in and we've been watching, right? Price has made it above value, remained above value, and have come and retested that area of value and found some more buyers. Now, it could be quite easy for us to remain in range since it is Friday. It would be quite easy that we could remain in the upper end of this range. But if we do get some maybe price to close back inside value, well, that could offer us maybe an opportunity for price to rotate through the entire range here. Okay, but we need to get below this settlement price. If we can't get below this settlement price, you see that we're building up a fair amount of volume here. It's quite possible that we can remain in this range for the entire session. Okay, so while I would say that on the higher time frame, we are continue to be bullish. We are seeing some price action that would indicate that we are seeing a little bit of weakness. Okay, it'll be interesting for me if we are able to hold this value area high. Okay, value area high would be a reasonable location for me to look to participate. If we are able to hold that level, that could offer us maybe a location where we can potentially take the market higher. Okay. Okay, that's kind of what I'm looking at in the Dow. So let's make one final review here across all the markets here, guys. All right, so we'll take a look at the gold. Gold is looking, I would say, relatively strong. Okay, but it is coming into an area, right? It is coming into an area where we can find some sellers. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and open up initial balance here. Initial balance range is relatively tight. Okay, so we could be in store for a reasonable IB extension move in this market. The question is, which direction is that going to be? If it is to the upside, I anticipate that that's going to be met with some sellers. Okay, if it's to the downside, well, I think we have more runway since we have been a bit extended to the upside for maybe a downside move, maybe down to VWAP, possibly below. Right, I would say that would be kind of the path of least resistance, right? Because I think we are seeing some areas here on the left-hand side that could cause price to stall. All right, crude oil. Haven't taken a trade in crude oil in some time, and I think that's just a function of the kind of market that we've been in. Okay, but again, we're seeing some bearish, actually some bullish price action of late. Okay, we are in a bullish channel. So, but right now, let's see, we're going to go ahead. Initial balance is open. So we have, again, a relatively small initial balance range. You could certainly play the range, you could maybe potentially be bullish along the lower end of this line. But I think overall, the market does feel a bit weak. Okay. And so I would say that, certainly focusing on the edges of these markets, maybe potentially if we get some evidence that would take us lower, but overall we've been in somewhat of a range here. Okay, so it's difficult to say exactly if we're going to be in any sort of sustained move in this market or not. Okay, or whether we'll continue in this kind of range price action between 68 and 65 or 66 has kind of been the range of late here. Okay, so I would say crude oil, it continues to look a bit bearish to me. Even though we are in a bullish channel. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the NASDAQ. We're about 3 minutes away here from the open. Okay, so NASDAQ, again, we've kind of made our way inside value from yesterday. Looks like we are going to open inside value. Maybe not. I take that back. Looks like we're going to potentially open outside of value, which is which would be a good indication for buyers, right? That maybe there are participants that are willing to take this price higher and willing to pay a premium. Okay, so that quickly changed from being inside and maybe looking at balanced kind of price action to a market that looks like it's found some participants to drive price higher. Okay, looking at the ES. Okay, I think that was also showing some bullish price action. Right, we are above value. We are seeing some signs that it wants to head higher here as well. So I would say the ES is looking bullish. And then as funny as this may sound, the Dow was well already above the value range, but probably showing some more signs of weakness given the more recent set of candles here. This is developing a bearish candle over some of the candles that were developed in the other markets. So maybe a bit more neutral on the Dow than I am maybe on the ES and the NASDAQ. Looks like they are going to continue to be bullish. Okay. So just to summarize again, gold headed into the market, headed into the session, does appear to be bullish. We are coming into some areas of resistance that could offer maybe a little bit of a pullback, a little bit extended to the upside, I would say. And then crude oil, while remaining in a bullish channel, does appear to continue to be weak. And then I would say 2 out of the 3 markets, I would say NASDAQ, ES continue to show bullish signs, and the Dow probably the weakest of the 3. Okay, so we'll go ahead and close off this session again. Just to kind of encourage and remind everyone, don't be afraid to hit the likes and subscribes if you're not a subscriber. Don't be afraid with any sort of comments along the lines of how this content is supporting your efforts in analyzing the markets. And until then, trade well, trade safe, trade like a pro, be a market trader. Have an excellent day trading, guys, and we'll talk again soon.